Hello and welcome back to the Schooner Pod. I'm your host, Bobby Howard. With me today, we've got Jameson Maxwell, Ty Lee, and boys, we are very, very close to the start of college football season. Only one more Saturday without Sooner football. Week 0 is upon us. Farmageddon in Ireland coming up here, on Saturday. So we can spread back in full form this Wednesday, and our Sunday pods are back. And what better way to start this season off right than a staple of what we've done, since the start of this thing, Jameson, ranking the position groups, doing a proper preseason thing, like really going in, looking at everything, but also marrying it with honestly one of our favorite tropes of all time, which is Tiermaker. My obsession with tiers. I love it. I'm a big fan. And this is a show that you and Ty have done quite a bit. Whenever I'm out of town or something, you two will break into your Tiermaker list. And usually I'm forced to listen to this on an airplane, and defenseless as Ty unjustifiably puts the tight ends too high. So I'm glad I'm going to be able to chirp in here.
It's always been like Ty is like, all right, I've got this position group at an A. And I was like, I was thinking like a D, and then it'll flip. And we're like, what are we doing right now? What has just happened? I'm hoping it's not going to be like that, but let's be honest. It's probably going to be like that this year.
Look, every position group deserves I wish we had Blake on here to clarify this, but that term about a zealous advocate that really advocates on their behalf. Sometimes they deserve to be defended in the case of the tight ends, and sometimes I must be the prosecution and ask for the death penalty.
If Ty defends the tight ends this year, Bobby, I'm going to lose my mind.
It would not go great. But
quick note for me before we start kicking. But I have begged and begged for the coaches to be added to the Tiermaker. They have refused again. I've promised that I will not tell you what tier I would put them in, but I think we all know.
Well, tight ends certainly wouldn't be high on that regard.
The tight ends would be above the coaches. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, okay. Anyways, all right, Jameson. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go through and talk about each position group first. Then we're going to go into Tiermaker, put out place them in our rankings. Kind of an even deal. We're not going to try to debate too much. We don't need a 4-hour podcast here on Sunday. And y'all, if y'all have any comments, let us know, and we'll do this together. But before we start, let's take a gander at the last state of affairs with the Tiermaker. And this was recorded when, guys? Like
it was the
sometime in the off season.
Yeah, it was the end of the season.
Yeah. This is where it ended up. So for our audio listeners, I'm deeply sorry that this is going to be a little bit tricky. We're going to do our best to.
This is going to be a really good podcast for audio listeners, because we're essentially doing position group breakdowns and projected starters amidst tiers. So it'll be really good.
Yeah, but yeah. So we'll try to keep you in the loop as everything goes out. But this is where things stood at the end of the 2024 season. Y'all had in the S tier, the only group by itself, the linebackers. In A tier, you had the D line and the safeties. I'm guessing that's what S' is.
I don't know why I apostrophed S. Don't flame me for this. I'm sorry. Little S would be really weird, but I shouldn't have. I understand it's not their possession. Okay, I screwed up.
You could also just type it out, but regardless, you're a doctor, not a graphic designer.
I made this on the last second. I think early 2023 when we were scrambling for a podcast without you. I made the edit and the thumbnail for the podcast, which was a screenshot of the Tiermaker put at a 45-degree angle.
Yeah. So anyways, so D-line and safeties at A, B, so right in the middle, running backs, cornerbacks. The O-line was a C. And then the very, very last here, the D tier, the quarterbacks, tight ends, and wide receivers. We do not have an F tier. So if you're watching live, ignore the description. I got that wrong. But I don't know what are Jameson? What are your reactions looking at this list? Kind of your thoughts, your feelings. And
I'm trying to bring back some emotions from Ty and I's conversation. Did we argue about the offensive line for a long time? Because I think I wanted to throw them at D as well and just, put everything except for the running backs. I remember running backs and offensive line being a hot button conversation, but we were pretty in line in the defense. Like looking at the defense, they're pretty ranked really well. Offense, blah.
I will say, we got it right at the very top, and arguably, don't want to go on a tangent, but I think we were pretty good on quarterbacks as well. I think we were pretty right if you actually look at the season and then balance expectations, right?
Yeah.
Tight ends, unfortunately, right? Receivers, I don't know that it was their fault.
They were trash too, Ty. That
wide
receiving core was horrible.
But they were injury. Yeah, they were racked by injuries.
Yeah.
They had Jackson Arnold throwing to them. They had
Zion Reagan's being wide receiver 1. Yeah.
So.
Jacob Jordan out there doing his best.
Axe are maybe a little high.
Yeah.
That was you wanted to be lower on running backs. I was really high in the way that Xavier Robinson ended the season. And then obviously Javonte Barnes is an all-around back. And then like what we thought Gavin Sawchuk was. I thought that was a pretty decent group.
How many seasons have we done this Schooner Pod?
Bobby's
all I know is I had at least 4 or 5 times putting my hand on the stove of hitching my wagon to the running back room. And I finally learned my lesson last year. So hopefully
we've been doing the show since 2018. Yeah. So a lot of
it's simple math. We need to just move on.
Anyways, let's start this thing off. Ty, I'll let you pick. We're going to kind of go position group first, or like kind of knock out an entire position group, or not position group, but side of the ball in terms of offense, defense. We're going to rail through all those and then flip to the other side of things. But Ty, what position group do you want to rank first as we get started?
On which side of the ball?
Just pick one, and then we'll go on that side of the ball the rest of the podcast. I'm giving you the keys to dictate how this podcast is going to go.
Tight ends.
We're going to start with tight ends. You're not burying the lead. We're going straight on the tight end discussion.
Hey, you got to have your vegetables before you get dessert.
All right. I'll kind of lead with like projected depth chart as we go through with tight end. So right now, in terms of tight end, it's kind of a split of like Carson Kent and Will Huggins. Looks like Will Huggins is probably going to win the job. And then those are both transfer tight ends. And then Jaron Kanik, tight end 3/4, possibly. And then if Caden Helms can ever stay healthy, you've heard this whole offseason, Caden Helms looks good. Oh, he's hurt. I mean, do you really want to talk about that? Really what it comes down to is maybe a fun conversation on Kanik, but how good can Will Huggins and Carson Kent actually be?
Yeah, I mean, that is kind of what it boils down to in terms of, at this point, kind of serious contenders. I think it'd be really cool if Kanik did make an impact, but I mean, there's really no way of telling on that. Huggins, of course, the transfer from Pittsburgh State, go Gorillas, whatever. I actually have a friend. I know someone who went there, so I need to know the saying a little bit better. But I'm intrigued to see how it goes. Obviously, a pretty big jump up in competition from D2 up to the big leagues. But Huggins was like their star at Pitt State, so intrigued to see how he does there. Carson Kent. We'll say he's damn good in that video game. But anyways, I don't know. I personally feel like this is a group that is, had a lot of questions entering the portal. I don't think they ever properly got resolved. And to be frank, my expectations are very low. Just because I have no idea what to expect. I mean, one of the guys played at Pitt State. One of the guys was a linebacker last year. So it's like
it's Kennesaw State. So I mean, like,
it's a grab bag, folks. So and obviously, the whole situation. Last time I put a lot of stock into a player. It didn't go great. With the tight ends.
Yeah, I mean, Mitchell looked good in pads, Bobby.
Looked great in pads. My stock went bust. That was not good. That was not good. That's like being an Enron stockholder or something. It's just not good. So I'm any sort of positive momentum from the tight ends would make me happy. That's literally it. It's at the ceiling to me. The ceiling is the floor.
Oh, here it goes. You got that, Ty?
Wise words from Confucius there. Yeah, it's I'm not sure how many electoral votes Kennesaw State has, but I also am not sure where they are on the map. But it sounds very Midwestern. But yeah, I don't know. It's big question mark for me. The bigger question mark is, what's Arbuckle going to do with his offense? I think if you look at some of his tape, it's not necessarily like some of those NFL offenses that maybe have a bigger tight end focus. Obviously, he's in a much different league now. I'm not trying to make like a joke or hit the hot button stuff, but he's in a different league now. So, he's not going to be running the exact same offense. So it'll be interesting to see what he cooks up. But I would assume with some of these guys, yeah, especially if we're kind of thin on the depth chart in terms of, I don't want to say talent. I really need to spend some time in the dictionary before we do these player analysis ones, because I really want to be specific in my wording. But yeah, it would not surprise me if this is a position group that is just not really seeing a whole ton, or we're not even seeing a whole ton of intended work for them this season. So.
Yeah, Ty, you made a good point for that I was going to make too. Anyone want to guess, out of total catches for Washington State last year, how many of them were made by tight ends? Just throw out numbers.
Be more worried about targets, but 3.
I imagine 3 catches?
3 catches in a season.
Oh, no, 3%. I asked percentage, and I already forgot my question. Jesus Christ, Jameson. Sorry. Carry on. I said, what percentage of catches were by tight ends? Thank you, Ty, for your guess. Bobby?
Well, if we're going percentage, I bet it's going to be shocking, so I'm going to go with like 2.
It's like 95.
It was 8%. It was 8, which is low. Okay. I thought it was pretty darn low. But I appreciate y'all for going like, oh, you know what? I'm going to go even lower. So I appreciate it.
I don't know. I feel like
it's still super low.
8 is close enough to 10 for me to be like, 10 sounds about right for like the average offense.
I don't know. I would have to look it up.
I'm going to GPT that while you guys keep yapping here.
Okay. I'll ask for its sources.
All right, so let's go with our ranking here.
Source was
Bank.
That's Joseph A. Bank. Oh no free ads, Jameson. What are we doing here? We're a Men's Warehouse pod.
I think this is an obvious C. They haven't scorned us enough to do a D, but there's nothing here to say bad enough, because like these are all guys that I don't have tape on. I can't put them at a D unless I've seen their true tape at Oklahoma. But it's a low C. They could very quickly move to D if they just become a nothing burger.
I'll put it this way. If they're not a D, I don't think there'll be a group that is a D. I think they're a total unknown.
Then put them at a D.
Be harsh on them. I kind of think they're a D just in terms of talent, in terms of expectations. I don't think anybody's optimistic about the tight ends. I think it'd be nice if they could show me something. I'm a bit concerned. And that's not to knock the guys. It's just there are some pretty big unknown commodities there, and to me, I kind of have them at a bit at the D. Jimmy in the comments has them probably a C. Sooner Cowboys said he put him at a D right now, but could
tiebreaker tie.
Tiebreaker tie.
Is he going to actually be a tight end homer?
You guys can check this. Yes. You guys can check this on your own. Microsoft Copilot says that 10 is the Power 5 average % of catches on the season that Power 5 tight ends got, slightly skewed by some schools like Penn State that had like well over 100 targets.
Tyler Warren. It was just demolishing.
Yeah. No, but that's So I think that sounds fairly right to me that 10 is like a rough average unless you have like a superstar. So I think D for me, right? It's because here's the thing. You have to factor in not just the expectation. Right? There's I think you have to factor in expectations when it's like, hey, these guys are 5 stars. They should be in the national awards conversation. But when we're already talking about, oh, these are transfers, these aren't the guys that would be playing if everyone was healthy and everything else. Ultimately, we need talent to win games. And to me, they've already got negative against them. When we're talking about later on in the depth chart. So hopefully they prove us wrong, and they might be a D+ at the end of the season, but I like D.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair.
Yeah, there's room for upward mobility. I have no idea what we're going to see here, so I'm not overly optimistic. Moving on, Jameson, which offensive group you want to talk about next?
Let's go into wide receivers now.
Yeah,
Wide receivers will be a fun one to talk about. Let's kind of break down or just say some of the guys that are on the wide receiving room. I think that you can almost slot in Deion Burks, whether that be at your Y position there, or if he's going to play outside and let Isaiah Satania kind of play in that Y slot. On the outside, Giovanni Gibson. Right now, he's hurt. Looking like vibes are going to be for game 2 that he'll be recovering from an ankle fracture. So we'll see how quickly he can come into production. Other guys out there that have been getting a lot of reps that we've been seeing good things on. Elijah Thomas, the freshman, has been looking really good. We saw the highlight tape from Ivan Carrion with his one-hander. Zion Kearney is a guy that can come back and be some bit decent production. Jacob Jordan, if he can do anything this year, but I don't know if I have as much confidence. I think he just might be a Jackson Arnold guy. And then Jaden Gibson, I think, is a guy with coming back from the patellar tendon that I would not put much in terms of what you would expect from him this year, just because I think the vibes are maybe he might not play much at all this season. There's some other guys that are here that I did not name, but I think those are the big ones. Bobby, overall vibes of the wide receiver room?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the changes that were made, some of the portal moves, I thought were very positive. Getting Deion Burks back, huge. And it really boils down to kind of what we had last year. It's about health. Jaden Gibson last year, I thought was a huge blow, in losing like a big wide receiver. That was brutal. So hopefully, he can stay healthy, be strong there. If Deion Burks, hope.
Was that just me?
Yeah, I got that too. He's obviously
Bobby's mic just carried on and just
I heard hope just total mute.
Bobby?
How long have I been muted?
You just said hope, and then we lost you.
It was a tech error. It wasn't you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You said hope, and then it repeated it. It repeated it 3 times, and then just went silent.
Well, come back into hoping about Deion Burks doing something. I'm assuming that you're going to say actually does something this year.
No,
which I also hope.
No, I was saying hopefully he doesn't have to have when he does play. Hopefully it's not, we have to just give it to Deion Burks because he's the only guy available. To me, I feel like, I don't know, a diverse, widespread wide receiver room that, you can pass the ball to multiple targets could be huge. I'm big on Satania. Hearing great things about Kearney, just from the wire here, and the other Gibson, Javon Gibson. I don't know. I'm optimistic, but it's all about health. It's all about health.
It really is. Last year we were really optimistic about this wide receiver room, having the same conversation. We're like, we really like these guys, but you realize that the quote unquote depth that we had, it was very top heavy, and it got ugly and ugly fast. And I think this season, I hate to say it, Bobby, but I'm scared that if we lose a Deion Burks, things could get a little bit scary in terms of our depth moving forward. I think that if he can get a quarterback in John Mateer that's not Jackson Arnold to really give him the ball, that is going to be huge for us in terms of production of the wide receiver position that we really didn't get a lot last year. But I think when it comes down to it, I know Satania is fun in the slot, but we need an outside wide receiver to come out and step up this year and make big time plays. And when it comes down, looking at this, is it crazy to say that could it be Elijah Thomas? Could be that guy? I know it's a lot to put into a freshman's, a lot into a freshman, but at the same time, like in terms of talent, like this guy can go out there and at least like have, like the kind of freshman season like we saw from like a freshman Sterling Shepard, where you make some start plays, he shows some flashes. He might not be like the workhorse wide receiver, but we at least see something that makes him a threat whenever he comes out on the field. All in all, there's some fun pieces on this team, but I'm still a little bit worried about like the overall depth.
Yeah, the number one thing that I'm looking at with this wide receiver room that really makes me optimistic is how they just couldn't find their legs last year. Like we talked about, a lot of injuries, a lot of extenuating circumstances there. But the number of guys that were returning, right? And I'm not saying anyone was or wasn't a star, but the number of guys that were returning who had to step up, whether they succeeded or not last season, with a chance to be the number one guy, going down the list. Like, hey, that didn't work, or that person's hurt. You're in now. This is your shot. Guys going through that pressure cycle is going to help us this year. And I think we're going to get some people, injuries, knock on wood, much more health in the receiver room this year. But I think we're going to get guys that have that offseason to reset, build a new offense. You've got that momentum, and that psychological factor, I think, is so huge for athletes, high performance athletes, and especially guys at the age that these guys are. That just this momentum coming in and faith in a new quarterback, faith in a new OC. And if we got guys that are buying in and can stay healthy, I think that pressure cycle and that trauma of last season is going to help this wide receiver room. In particular, I think this is the only position group that this occurs for because of the uniqueness of the college wide receiver position. And yeah, I think we are ripe for freshmen to step up. I think maybe disagree with Bobby. I don't know that the portal was as great as if we look at the outgoing.
And the thing is, Giovanni Gibson could have been that guy if he didn't fracture his ankle tie. Like, that dude was looking like he was going to be the clear WR2 and he was going to be a boss. Like, he could have, the way that they're talking about him in the spring, like, that guy could outperform Deion Burks.
Yeah. Yeah, but, when we're talking about a guy who is right now looking at like number 3 on the depth chart as a guy that can have some breakout big plays, can come in with the starters and be a real threat, looks like they're cycling out their guys. And then we got a bomb from Matier, to a true freshman that is technically third on the depth chart. Like, that can catch some people off guard. And that's certainly a tool that you can pull out in college. And for me, I'm just going to tell you guys right now, I'm going to be kind of high on the receivers because I just believe in what they can do as a position group, especially when they got a quarterback that is proven to be able to make, some bombs. Is he, we'll get to the quarterbacks when we get to the quarterbacks. Do we have game winners or not? We have a guy who we know can make some plays regardless. So,
yeah. Shout out to Lord King Big Nuts in the chat. Dude, you're the man. We love you. Here's hoping for a good season. I feel better about this season from what we were at this point last season. Hope, hope, hope. Same with you, brother. Same with you, brother. Here's the thing. That's the great thing about a new year. Hey, we're hopeful again, baby. We're hopeful again. And here we are. Our tier maker right now is going to look a little bit different than it is at the end of the season, but you never know. It could be even better. I think another thing that I want to say on this wide receiver room, Bobby, is I really believed in Deion Burks last season. Watching him in the spring game look like he just was eons better than anybody at the beginning of the season. We thought this guy was the dude, but he did not have a system nor a quarterback to get him the ball to succeed. And I don't want to question him with his little dancing on the sideline that pissed me off and all that stuff. And being out of too many games. I don't want to question that because I wasn't there in that locker room and I didn't know exactly what was going on. But I know the guy with that much talent and the production that he had prior to coming to Oklahoma with a quarterback who could be one of the best quarterbacks in college football, with an offensive coordinator who's one of the brightest young minds who actually should get wide receivers open with his play calling rather than relying on Zion Kearney to make a contested catch or Jacob Jordan's footwork to make a catch. Hopefully we can scheme some guys open to where Deion Burks can go out, get an open field, and be that guy that is extremely electric that we thought that could possibly, last season we said this, Bobby, that could possibly be a day 1 or day 2 wide receiver in the NFL draft.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think it's fair to be very excited about him without a doubt. By the way, thoughts on Carry On? Mez in the comments mentioned no mention of Carry On, Jermichael, or Keontez.
We did Carry On briefly. I did not do Jermichael, which that's a L on my end. There's just so many wide receivers. Jermichael Carter, another transfer. Carry On was looking like he's doing good. He had that great highlight catch in practice with the one hand. Whenever you got that big of a body, he should just be a package, kind of guy that should come in. You will see him out there plenty. Keontez is going to be interesting. I'm curious of how much he's going to get used in this offense. But I think really what it comes down to, there's just a lot of guys out there. Like there's like 10, 11 guys that could go out and get on the field. And the great part about this wide receiver room is there is opportunity to go out there and make a statement to be a solidified WR1, WR2. And so it's out there for the taking. And I think they'll have plenty of opportunity at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think that depth is huge because if there are injury issues, You have guys you feel like you can rely on a lot more, and you're not, thrusting a freshman out there to try to make something happen. All right. So comments. Jimmy has the wide receiver room at a B, but could be about an A- when Giovanni Gibson returns.
I love
Sooner
Giovanni
Cowboys has the wide receiver room as a C, and also thinks that they can make the biggest jump. And he said he moved it to a B after the discussion. So, anyways, let's take a look at our tier maker list. Where are we putting them at?
I'll let Ty go first this time.
Yeah, Ty. We'll do a snake draft of
all right.
takes.
Let me say to all of our beloved listeners and viewers in the comments, I agree with you, but somebody has to do it. As our president once said, somebody has to do it, but I'm the chosen one. Give me an A for the wide receivers. I believe in the ceiling. I believe in the ceiling. I believe in the ceiling. It has to be said. Somebody has to take their side. They deserve a zealous advocate. I think okay. I'm not trying to talk to you guys. I'm not trying to paint you guys into a corner or trick you, or this is not a scheme. Just for the listeners, for the viewers, for the content, would you guys not agree that potentially A is the ceiling for this group? Best case scenario, everyone's perfect, everyone's healthy.
Yeah, if Deion Burks turns into that guy, and if Giovanni Gibson can return to pre-injury form, and I mean, it was a fracture, so whenever you tell me, hey, it's a fracture, I feel better about his return comparative to a guy like Jaden Gibson tore his patellar tendon, but I'm not going to give it all just based off of that.
Okay, I'm just saying, you guys are not free to vote. It's out there.
Bobby,
yeah,
give me something here.
Mez in the comments has him at A. Some people are saying the ceiling is A. I agree that that's the ceiling. It's just too many unknown. Yeah, I just need to see it. There are too many unknowns. I think there are less unknowns than the tight ends. But to me, I have him somewhere in between C and B.
Me too.
I'm gonna try. I think we should put them at a B just to be, to bring it in the middle. I don't know. What do you think, Jameson?
I mean, we don't have a choice now. We've got an A to average us out. It's going to be a B.
We're going to throw him at a D. We need to draw him down.
I think if you come down to it, I really do think if you want to be optimistic with this room and have your crimson tinted glasses on, focusing on Deion Burks is a dude that can be the dude in the wide receiver room and really game break. And we've been putting him on bubble wrap this whole fall camp to where we don't hear much about him. But guess what? The great part about the fall and the spring is no news is good news and bad news is really, really bad news. I don't care about good news in the fall, in the spring. Bad news is what I don't want to hear. And I haven't heard anything bad from Deion Burks. I know what he has in a potential. So he could be that guy. And Giovanni Gibson, I think, can be that guy too. And then if we get Elijah Thomas as a wild card, great. I agree with you, Ty. But right now, that's so many question marks in what we saw last year. So I was at a C plus just B minus. So averaging it all out, I think a B is very fair.
Yeah, I think B is good, especially for where that unit was last year. I mean, at the start, we had our tier maker from, early spring, really recapping 24, they were at a D and a very solid D. So I think B is a good improvement given, everything. So
good for them.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on to the running backs. Does that sound good?
Running backs. Okay, let's do running backs. So running backs, probably the starter, another bubble wrapper, would be Jaden Knott. Jaden Knott transferred from Cal 2 years ago. Some argue to be the most efficient, one of the most talented running backs in the country. Last year didn't have as good of a season, but Cal. And now he is here and could have an absolute breakout season again. Javonte Barnes, we knew that guy. He went through it for us. Effort whenever we didn't really have a lot going for us last season. Hell of a pass blocker, great running back for us. Xavier Robinson, I feel like we haven't even heard much about him this offseason, guys. And this dude was a guy that saved us at the end of the season, the way that he was running the ball. He looked like Derrick Henry light. I hate to make comparisons like that, but like the way he runs the ball was amazing. And then we haven't even said anything about Taylor Tatum thus far. That I understand that fumbling issues, young freshman, but like that was a guy that we could have a lot of confidence in. He's having a hamstring injury right now, which is really like limiting his ability to pump himself up the depth chart. But when he does get back, I mean, this guy is a guy with a lot of talent that you never know. A year under him, a little bit of confidence and some ball security could go a long way.
Yeah, I think I'm still pretty high on Tatum. I feel like the ball security thing is something you can really lock in on, sort of figure out. I think to me, the depth is the biggest part about this entire unit.
It's huge. I didn't even say Torrey Blaylock, who's been kicking ass in the fall, which is like for true freshman, just demolishing. Which I don't know if this is just like that's just the way it is, and just the good news is good news, and everyone talks great about young freshmen, and he might not be ready for the spotlight, but like still, like it's good to hear these things about young guys. And that's 5 guys I mentioned in the running back room, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, and that depth is incredibly important, especially with Ott given the whole, injury issues. Like that is absolutely a thing. Ott is not a guy who you're going to send out there every down and grind him out. And that's not how you should use him. So having that depth where you can put Javonte Barnes, you can put, Xavier Robinson, and give Ben Arbuckle a lot to play with and a lot to use. Like, I think that's incredibly exciting. And speaking of that, I think Jaden Ott, like some of the best things we'll see out of him are going to be, his ability as a receiver out of the backfield is second to none in college football this year. And to me, I think he is such a dynamic, incredible playmaker. If he can stay on the field, he is going to stun people. And maybe not stunned. He's very hyped, but it's going to be really, really awesome to see if he can stay healthy. I'm a big Ott guy. He was one of my favorite college football players last year. In recent years, the whole Cal thing was something I loved. That brief 15 minutes of fame they had in the ACC, and Ott was a massive part of that. So overall, if we're talking vibes, I'm very high on the running back room. This is one of my favorite units.
I don't think people realize the level of absolute dogs that we have in this room. This is, I think, the deepest. This is the deepest that, like, casual OU fans, you can go 4 down the chart literally, and people recognize the name. There is not another, right? Receivers, maybe, right? Because you got 3 or 4 of them on the field, but you can go 4 deep on the running backs and people recognize the names. And some of that is because of the way that last year panned out. But Jaden Ott, right, coming to OU to put that icing on the cake for his draft resume, he's coming to an offense that he knows is probably traditionally going to be pretty pass heavy. Like Bobby said, he can be a threat from the air. I think that's going to be a great addition to his NFL tape. But he wouldn't be coming somewhere that he doesn't believe in what we're building and that he is going to get quality reps behind a quality line. Obviously, we're about to talk about here in a second. But then, Javonte Barnes, like absolute dog last season, average 5 yards per carry. I think people forget that on 122 attempts with 5 touchdowns. He was great. Xavier Robinson also averaged 4.8 with another 4 touchdowns, only 50 carries. Xavier Robinson is 6 foot 250. I don't think people realize what a monster that is. That is 250 lean is insane. Xavier Robinson, I think, breakout season potential. And then, like we talked about, there's just so much depth. Taylor Tatum, right, had that fumbling issue, but go back and look at the things that coaches were saying about Taylor Tatum as a true freshman, now a true sophomore. Yeah, he had some fumbling stuff, again, as a true freshman, but every single person on that offense and coaching staff last season said no one works harder than Taylor Tatum. If you go back and look at some of the comments last season, he got asked about more last season by the press than he did now. So there's not as much news now, but I think there's so many people poised for a breakout season, and then you're bringing in an experienced guy that is going to be able to be the presumptive RB1 and lead that offense, and also maybe mentor, but at least set the example for some of the younger guys below him that just really need that. I am so high on this running back room and the depth that they bring. Just every one of them is such a dog. And yes, Troy, got to mention him as well. Freshman, huge for a freshman, and poised for a breakout as well.
Yeah, when you get down to like ranking this position group, to get to an S tier, I feel like you have a superstar. I think Ott is close from what he was, but I don't know if we can give him that just based off of his season last year. But you have everything else you want from a running back room. You have Jaden Ott as an all-around back. He can give you anything that you want, and it's the guy has the potential to be a star game breaker. You have Xavier Robinson as a power back, goal line back, third and short power running back that could absolutely destroy teams where the fourth quarter rolls around. Those linebackers and those safeties are feeling it after trying to tackle Xavier Robinson for the past 2 drives. And then Javonte Barnes, all-around back, works hard, great pass blocker. Taylor Tatum, young up-and-coming guy, and then a young, fun freshman, Torrey Blaylock. Everything that you'd want from a running back room, except for having a superstar. We said S last year was a Danny Stutzman because he was a superstar. I don't think we have that just yet. That's why I have the running backs as an A, but a group I love this season.
I have it as an S. I obviously understand the Ott, tepidness about, injury-wise and all that. If healthy, he's a superstar. And to me, I think beyond just that, the depth is unbelievable. I think you have the depth, you have the guys who you feel great putting out there, on, a regular down, in a normal SEC game that I think that's impressive. I think this is just genuinely, I think it's my favorite offensive group. And to me, I think they've done enough in the offseason to warrant an S. Just the addition of Ott alone, it would be a really, really good A, even without Jaden Ott. But Jaden Ott takes it over the top to me.
Yeah, hey, here's what I'm going to say. We have some absolute dogs. And if you were to measure punching power, the uppercut might not be your most powerful punch, but it's the one that's knocking people out more than any other kind of punch. And I want to briefly talk about, right, and I'm not saying he wasn't a dog. LeGarrette Blount was an absolute dog, 3-time Super Bowl champion for the New England Patriots, undrafted free agent, right? It was not the best on paper. And I'm not saying Ott legitimately could be, if he had Mike Gundy giving him 50, 60 carries a game, right? Oklahoma State fans would be saying,
Judge, where's he going with this?
But you don't need a superstar from this running back room. And all you need is guys that are going to hang on to the ball, very important, and then just be an absolute dog out there. Go out there, hit somebody in the mouth, be as tough as these SEC defenses, don't get rattled, and be able to take some of the pressure off of Mateer, and you will produce amazing results from this room. So I thought I was going to be the highest. I don't know if I can say S. I want to go A, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go S.
Oh my God. Here's the thing, guys. Like, if we're giving him an S, do you think that they have a higher ceiling right now? There's still a lot of question marks about this room. Like Danny Stutzman's like, I know he's that dude. Plus, we have the depth with Kip and we had with Kobe. Yeah. And we don't have that yet with the running back rooms. I understand the excitement, but still, I think like there's still there's a waiver of how they can go higher, but they could go a little bit lower. That's my A, but if y'all want to put an S, I respect the game. I respect it. Oh.
Yeah, I get it. I just feel like where Ott is, it's not like he just had one good year. He's, where he was at in the year before, he could have gone to the draft right there,
Hey, I will say we are like one hamstring and 2 guys, maybe even one guy not progressing from last season away from this room being a solid C. So that does need to be said too.
Or it's just Javonte Barnes is RB1 again. We lose Ott and Taylor Tatum's the same as last year.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Is if Barnes hasn't necessarily developed, it's very dependent on the line, but yeah.
And DeMarco Murray forgets that Xavier Robinson exists.
It depends.
I hope that isn't
I will say I don't want to go off the rails. I don't want to go off the rails, but you know what? Let's just move on.
Yeah. X is my dude. That's honestly, I love Jaden Ott, but at the same time, like I think I'll get more excited when I see X coming to the field.
All right. Yep. I mean, X is that dude just took over that Alabama game. Everyone rightfully talks about Kip Lewis on the defensive side of things. with the Kip 6 and all that, but offensively, Xavier Robinson was the guy who shut the door on that thing. He was awesome. He was incredible. Let's move on to
next.
Let's move on to a nice controversial one. The offensive line.
Oh, God.
Much maligned in 2024. This unit has a lot of questions. I think there's some hope. There's some optimism. But if you want to talk about stuff that still has a lot to be determined, it's the O-line. That is the biggest question mark to me probably of the year. Like in terms of any of these units, this is the one that is going to be one of the most decisive, important, and like must improve things.
Mm-hmm. So let's go down of what I think is going to be the starting group. And obviously this one has got some controversy. So if y'all have other takes on this, feel free. I'll just kind of give you my take on it. At left tackle right now, you see a lot of Fasusi running with the runs and the ones with practice, but Jacob Sexton's been out with a concussion. You assume he'll be back soon, and I'm guessing Jacob Sexton should get the lean and start game one at left tackle, with probably a quick trigger to get Fasusi to come in and be that starting if we do start to see Jacob Sexton things like we saw last year. Going in at left guard, Heath Ozida has been getting a lot of the run, but right behind him is Eddie Pierre-Louis, a guy that was getting some run with the ones. So possibility there, still in a battle. I don't think that there's anything been showed to be that Heath Ozida has won that job, but it seems like he's been consistently with the ones as of recently. Everett at center seems like he's the leader within the offensive line room, but Jake McCullough also, transfer, seems like he could be a good candidate for that position. Fabechi Wiwu, he's the right guard. I think he's the right guard no matter what. But obviously, if you are a believer in young guys, Ryan Foje is right there at that right guard spot. And I think there's some, I forget, what was that Scoop maybe it talked about, like, what do you change, Fabechi over to left and put Foje at right? I'm not sure, just based off vibes. I don't know if that's going to happen, but you never know. It's obviously fun to think about trying to get your young guys out in the field as soon as possible, right? I think that Pete and Bo will give a lot of reps to the young guys. And then at right tackle, it looks like Heath Ozida has moved over from left to right, and he's been doing well running with the ones in practice right now. But Derek Simmons is a guy that we thought for sure was going to be that guy to have that right tackle job, but he has not been healthy, and he should come back here pretty soon. And can he take it back from Ozida the way he's been playing in practice? That's going to be a hard thing coming up now that we have 13 days until kickoff. Can you really take back that job after Logan Howland has been playing really well at that right tackle spot? So those are kind of my top 10 offensive line there. There's other guys that I didn't mention, like Jake Taylor at the right tackle, like Baklenko, also over the tackle position. There's a lot of guys out there, but it's a fun topic.
Yeah, for sure. I will say Rhyming Lemon brought up the biggest point here. We're not going to acknowledge that we have an offensive big man with the last name of a tater tot brand.
Which one's the tater tot brand?
Sonic.
I don't know. I'm not a big tater tot brand knower. Are you?
Are you not a big tater tot man? You're not a tot man?
Ty, tater
tot
tot
not
brands?
knower. Tot not knower.
Tot not knower. Oh,
Arita.
I might not be a tot knower.
Okay,
I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not a tot knower. I'm sorry, Lemon. I don't know these things. But all in all,
I don't think I know.
If you wanted me to go that deep, Lemon, we're gonna be here all night. I think that really what it comes down to is, like, we know. I feel pretty confident that Wiwu is going to be a starter out there. I feel pretty confident that Everett's going to be a starter out there. Other than that, I still think you could close your eyes and you can never see what's going to happen on game one. We've been surprised in the past. Screw it. Anton Harrison goes out there and we're like, what the hell? He's already starting a true freshman. That could happen with Fasusi. Beat and Bo isn't a guy who's stuck in his ways and is not scared to play a freshman if he thinks they're the best.
Yeah, and I think that adaptability is something that has come to him over the years, which is great. And look, in terms of raw talent, Foje and Fasusi are without a doubt like up there. These are two of the most talented offensive linemen that Beanbo's ever signed. So hopefully we get to see a lot of burn from them. I would love to see it. I know we've kind of been preaching since they signed that, hey, don't expect to see these guys a ton, but everything we've heard out of camp is indicating the other way, that we're going to see a ton of them. And I think that's exciting. Even if it's not starting, having a healthy rotation, having depth is really important. I think to me that's where this year was this year is different than last. Even though there is not a super defined line yet, I like that you have options. I like that you know that you have guys behind you and you're not just putting stuff together with string, just barely holding on, hoping to make it work on the O-line like we did last year. And yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, shout out Rhyming Lemon for the elite ball knowledge on Tots, by the way. He was talking about
Orida. Yeah, Heath Orida instead of Heath Ozida. I love it. I love it.
He had me convinced that we had a guy in the bottom of our depth chart named Orida, and I was like, I'm gonna believe him.
Right.
I just moved on from him. I'm gonna be honest. I was like, I don't know who that is.
What walk on is like who's the tater tot walk on man out here? I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. I think that whatever it comes down to, like, Beat and Bo has shown that he might not even have his top 5 until Texas. I'm not scared of that. And I'm honestly down for it with this room right now.
Yeah, as long as it's before Texas, not in the third quarter.
Hey, third quarter benching in Texas games.
Not under Brent Venables. So.
I guess that was second quarter, but still. But also at the same time, when we say reading the tea leaves with the offseason, let's play the other side of this. We're kind of pumping some optimism. We're talking about the youth. We're talking about what could be and finding the perfect 5. But you know what I don't like, really, is I don't like whenever there's still a battle for almost 4 of the 5 offensive line spots this close. That scares me. I understand one angle of that is like, oh, we got a lot of talent. We just got to figure out the perfect match. But at the same time, I don't want to have that conversation. I want to have the conversation of, I know my left tackle is that dude. He's been here for 4 years. He's going to go out there and make a play, and we don't have to worry about him. That's not the case with Jacob Sexton right now. And I hate to have that in the back of my mind.
Yeah. And I think the consistency too of like having the same line over and over again, that was one of the problems last year. Is there was constant like instability at that, on that line that, every week you got a different O-line. And I think that's, you're going to want to find the right group, but I think you have some time to, fiddle with it and play with it. But, I obviously it doesn't take one off season to completely fix, the problems the long-term problems that the offensive line has had. It takes some years. It's not a quick fix solution like, wide receiver or quarterback. It takes a little bit of time to install and grow and do all that. So,
yeah. Shall we go into rankings? Ty, do you have anything else to say? You usually are very quiet on the offensive line, so I don't.
I'll give you guys some elite ball knowledge on the behind the scenes of why I'm so quiet when we talk about the line. It's because not only do real G's move in silence like lasagna, but also people who have never heard these names until they're mid-pod and Jameson is mentioning them also remain silent when talking about
oh my God, Ty. At least he's honest.
Let's let Ty go second in this ranking, Bobby. Okay. So, Bobby, how about you go first?
I can go first. I can go first because Jimmy.
No, Ty. So no, we need tiebreaker Ty on this one. So.
Bobby, you go first, and I'll go third. Let Ty be the sandwich here.
I'll go first. I think it's going to be much improved. I still need to see how it all works out on paper. It's a C. I think there's a lot of potential with it. I think it's a situation where you feel any shred of optimism, which is a really good thing. Considering last year the O-line was pretty atrocious. I think another year under Beat and Bo's system, another year of growing, learning, changing is going to be great for those guys. The young talent and Fasusi and Foje is great. I think the depth is good, but I have them just at C just because I need to see it all pan out and come together. Because O-line, to me, that's a position that, you really don't know until it comes together on game day. And I have it at C. But this is just for now. I think they can easily hop up to a B or an A. I'm just kind of trending with a bit of a cautious C at the moment. I know that's different from what the comments are saying. They seem to be pretty heavy on the B, but to me, I'm just being cautious.
Ty?
Yeah, look, unlike DC Insider Jameson and Sleepy Bobby, I believe in the democratic process, and the people in the chat have overwhelmingly voted for the line at B, which I believe, and here's why I believe. I've lived in Norman, okay? Unlike some other people. Not saying you guys have or haven't, right? I'm not saying that, but I have lived in Norman. I'm a man of the people, and Norman is a lineman's town. Now, there's a spot in Norman where you can get up on an overpass and you can see, you can turn left and right and see, I believe it's 3, Bobby, correct me if I'm wrong, Waffle Houses.
2 Waffle Houses.
2 Waffle Houses. I think it's 3.
No, it's 2 Waffle Houses. They're not. There's no way it's 3. I know this.
We're gonna be looking for a new Bobby because
I'm the one who told you about this.
I think the jobs numbers have said 3.
What the hell?
We have more hideaways than Stillwater.
And North Texas.
Hideaways, therefore, a Norman location. There's so many good places to eat in Norman. It's a lineman's town. Give me the line at B+.
Oh, there we go. Bobby, I think you're such a hater. I think the line's a B. Bobby is, out of anyone on this pod, I think Bobby's the biggest OU hater. I think that's what we figured out.
That's what they say about me. Never any sunshine or rainbows out of Bobby. Never. No, I'm the doomer of the pod when it comes to Oklahoma football.
Definitely not
Doomer Bob.
Bobby is a Texas and Mavs fan. That's all he is.
God. Yeah, I think there would be, whenever it comes down to it, is there's just too many guys on this line. I feel that can be a competent, good offensive lineman. Now, is the ceiling as high in this group? I'm not really as high on them in terms of their ceiling, but their floor, I don't think can bottom out as low what it was in the beginning of the season last year. And if you recall, the end of the season last year, the offensive line was cohesive. They were playing well. They were giving great run blocks. I was really proud of the way they played. And I understand our offensive line is going to look a little bit different now, but when you go through it, we just named 10 guys right there that I feel confident if they were the starter for this team, that they could go out there and be a competent offensive lineman for us. So moving forward from what I've heard recently, about Howland, the way he's been stepping up at right tackle, we've got a guy in Fasusi in the left tackle that could come in and be a lot of fun to watch. And we have some leaders on the interior in the offensive guard and center room. I think that they're a straight up B. So I'm bump us up to B right here for offensive line and disregard Bobby's hater C pick.
Okay, well, look, I'm glad that y'all are optimistic on them. That's great. I hope they are a B. Let's move on to our final offensive position. This one should be quick, I think. Hopefully, the quarterback position. Obviously rejuvenated by the addition of John Mateer, who takes the place of Jackson Arnold as QB1. Still backed up by Michael Hawkins Jr., who stuck around, has not portaled. Beyond that, Jameson, I don't really know if there's much to talk about the quarterback room. What do you think?
Neubauer.
Sorry to Whit Neubauer.
John Mateer is that dude, man. The guy's the dude. He's everything you want in a college quarterback. Alpha mentality, a leader in the locker room, confident, and can run the ball and pass the ball at a high level. And icing on top is this guy knows this offensive system really well. I feel very confident in John Mateer. I'm worried a little bit about the wide receiver tight end room, the weapons to allow him to succeed. If they don't reach their ceilings, I worry about John Mateer's ability to do really well. Just because a quarterback needs targets. But I think that if we really believe in what Arbuckle has been doing to get people open and to get John Mateer out in space, he will go out and make plays and wow OU fans very quickly. This is a guy I'm really excited on watching this year.
Yeah, my hype is through the roof on Mateer. I'm all the way bought in. I've been talking to friends, relatives, etc., who are like, so is this new quarterback actually good? Is he is the hype real? And I've been selling hype about John Mateer the entire offseason. I fully bought in on him, the system. I know some people might be like a little tepid on, he played at Washington State.
They're just looking
he's
for
the real
something.
deal.
That's all it is. Every
just
single time I
looking
hear
for
that, I'm like, stop. The human brain is conditioned to be a hater. So they try to find any kind of negative that they can hit at. And everything, whether it be sports or not sports, they're always trying to find something. That's the Washington State thing. Come on. Is that all you got?
Yeah, that's really all I think anyone can poke at. But to me, I disregard that. I think he'll be excellent. He's exactly the type of guy you want. And then backup wise, Michael Hawkins Jr., if something, knock on wood, were to happen, I think he's a backup you feel pretty good about coming in. He has experience. He has an SEC road win under his belt. He's the only OU quarterback to win a road game in the SEC, which is really funny. And, another year on, from what I've heard and seen, he looks like he's progressed. I think there's something there for him in the future, hopefully. But Hawkins Jr., I think solid backup. I feel really, really good about this unit as a whole, but it all leads with John Mateer, who I think is going to be massive, especially, given that cohesion with Arbuckle.
Yeah, I think, right, it's obviously we're going to get into the season and find out for real, but even with the line where it is, if we look at our tier ranker, right, we talked about the potential ceiling for this receiver room, the continuity with the offensive coordinator, and so if we're going to say the backs are S tier, then bringing in a quarterback in Mateer that is a proven guy that is going to be at least confident going into the early SEC games. I think we're definitely aligned to do some damage in this conference. So I don't know. I'm not super, super, super optimistic. I will say, Jameson called me out for smirking, but look, I picked the entire last season of the weekend spread on hater picks, and I smoked Jameson. We'll just say that. So it's let the hate flow through. The dark side, the dark side is a power to. The dark side is a path to many things that.
Bobby's like,
never mind. I'm not bailing you out of this one time.
I'm a Star Wars not nowhere, I suppose. But.
Yeah, you really went up for a half court shot on that one. Let's tier it. Jameson, where do you have him?
If running backs is an S, quarterback is an S, man.
Oh,
that's really what it is. I hate it. I hate to do that comparison value. But, I mean, you talk about room, what Hawkins already has as a true freshman, as a game breaker. Screw it. Put him out there randomly and just play him in some gadget plays. Get him on the field whatever way you can. Like, this guy's, his speed and his playmaking ability is pretty damn special. And then Mateer, I think, has potential to be top quarterback in the whole country is potential. But, I mean, realistically, top 3, top 5, a realistic thing, if you say John Mateer, there's only 4 quarterbacks better than him at the end of the season, I'd say that's about right. I think that's straight up. If you're telling me you have one of the top 5 best quarterbacks in the country, I think that's an S.
I'm starting to regret putting the running backs at S just because it's going to look really bad.
Thank you.
Look a little bad.
You were an A.
Can we scoot them?
I'm down to scoot.
Let's scoot. We're going to scoot running backs down to A. Just
I wanted him, but Ty, the only way we can scoot running backs to an A is Ty allows the scoot.
No, I'm going to abstain from voting.
Well, no, it's 2 A's and 1 S.
No, you have to make a vote. No scoot or scoot.
I just abstained.
Okay,
I don't think they're on the same level. I think the running backs are more talented. I think the running backs are more talented there.
Okay, screw it. We're keeping them.
We can move. You can move the RBs.
Okay, Ty. Ty, what's your grade for the quarterback?
You can move the RBs to A, but I'm going to have to see Mateer if you do so because I don't believe in the Pac-12.
So where do you have the quarterbacks at?
I have the quarterbacks are an A. And that's all we need them to be. You don't want them to be S. You don't want a Heisman win.
You have to see Jaden Ott too. I don't believe in the Pac-12. Like legitimately, 2 years ago, same freaking argument.
Cal was not in the Pac-12.
A little bit of a different Pac-12.
What are you talking about?
There's more than
two years ago.
Conference not nowhere.
I legitimately said 2 years ago.
Cal, do I need to go on my Cal rant?
That was
Cal
also
produced,
a Pac-12 that had more than 2 teams, Jameson.
Cal produced Marshawn Lynch. Cal produced the atomic bomb. Cal, do I need to pull up the Nobel?
Okay,
I'll pull up the Nobel.
I don't care anymore. We're not messing with it. Bobby, Ty, someone tell me your ranking for the quarterbacks.
I have quarterbacks at an S. I think it's going to look ridiculous having them up there. But
it's going to be.
All right. S we go. I believe in John Mateer. Doesn't mean that there is a ceiling that they've already reached, but at the same time, I do agree that if you're ranking them amongst position groups in the country, like honestly, best quarterbacks in the country, or let's just say what quarterback you would want on your team to start your team this season, blank slate out of any quarterbacks in the country, who would you take over Mateer? Nussmeier, number one.
Yeah.
I think that's
anyone who had a above 60% completion ratio in the SEC or Big Ten.
Lenore Sellers, would you take him over John Mateer?
Yeah,
I'm starting.
I would probably. Sellers is a push for me
because he had SEC play. He showed some really good things. I think that there's an argument for Sellers. I think Clay Klubnik. I don't know, honestly. I know this is a hot take, but I think that we've been hyping up based off his star rating for too long, and I don't know when he's actually going to be that dude. He's really good, but I don't know if he's top 5 in the country good just yet. But that's just kind of a hot take on Cade Klubnik. But I could see people picking him over John Mateer very well. But then it comes down to like, do you pick Arch over John Mateer?
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
Would you pick Arch over him? I wouldn't.
Yes. Carson Beck.
No. Carson Beck doesn't even like football.
Drew Aller, Jameson.
No.
Yeah. Like
Does
no
AJ
like
McCarthy
no, I'm taking John Mateer over Drew Aller.
Yeah.
To start my team. Now, this is a different question than saying like who is the better, more proven quarterback. No, to start my team this season, to succeed just this season, give me John Mateer over Drew Aller.
Yeah.
Nico?
I take Hawkins. Hawkins.
Get out of here. Yeah. No, so I mean, honestly, I'd probably have, him at around 4 right now in terms of guys I'd pick. So I think that's pretty damn good.
It's pretty damn good. Okay. So real talk. We're an hour into this thing.
Yep, we're gonna keep on going.
The offense. Do we want to just keep going and do the defense?
We gotta keep on going.
We gotta keep on going. All right, let's flip over to the defense, and let's just start with something that should be pretty open and shut. The defensive line. This is one of the best units in the country. I think without a doubt. Stacked to the gills with depth, high level NFL bound talent. I couldn't be more excited about Jameson.
Yeah. So we will add inside, so nose tackle, defensive tackle, and then defensive ends to this group. We will put cheetahs amongst I think we did linebackers last year. But it's kind of a weird. I don't think I have just a cheetah itself, but we'll put cheetahs into the linebackers this year. So defensive line going through nose tackle, you would assume Dominic Williams, Jaden Jackson in that conversation. With defensive tackles next to him. If Grayson Halton can't get healthy from his hamstring, but is looking like a guy that might not be out there for game 1 based off this hamstring injury. So you could see Jaden and Dominic next to each other. David Stone also next to them, which is like, that's a guy that we expect to make that jump. It seems like he had a little bit of a slow start through camp, but now he's starting to reach his stride and people are saying great things about him. And then, other guys out there in the interior defensive line, Marcus Strong, it looks like he had a meniscus injury, but I think they're trying to get him back out quicker, which might mean they're just trimming it up and sending him back out, which is quite interesting. And then when it comes down to the defensive end, guys, like defensive end, we really need to talk about. R. Mason Thomas might be one of the best edge rushers in the SEC, and that's saying something. And then on the other side, like Taylor Wine is a guy that we really didn't talk much about at all last year, and it seems like that guy is just consistent, doing what he needs to do every single time. Danny Okoye is wrecking things like we thought he could now in his redshirt freshman season. Marvin Jones Jr. from Florida State, an absolute specimen of a person. If PJ does anything, PJ might do something, he might not, but whatever on that standpoint. A lot of big names and a lot of wreckers with guys on that defensive line, I think this is the clearest S in the game right here. It's going to be a fun group to watch.
Yeah, easy S. It's deep. It's talented. One of the reasons why we were impressed about Tennessee when we were looking at them last year and really analyzing that game is talking about how their D-line is not only good, but it's deep. You can rotate guys out. Everyone's fresher, all of that. And I feel like what Venables' defense has done, what they have done with Bates and Miguel Chavis, they have built an absolute monster of a defensive line unit. And, there are a lot of things that you can say have not gone right in the Brent Venables era, but the construction of the defensive line has clearly, this is stellar. This is everything you've wanted out of a defensive line. When you look at the blueprints from Clemson, when you look at, what you thought you were getting out of Brent Venables, this was the thing to be excited about. And I think without a doubt, he delivered on this front specifically. It's a great unit. It's exciting. It's going to win some football games. So I'm thrilled about it. It's going to be beyond fun to watch.
Yeah, same. It's, Rome was not built in a day, as they know. It was built one day at a time, and that's how this group has become. So I'm, again, very high on it. And like we said, it's something that has been Venables' trademark and has won several championships, and it built a dynasty over out east. So yeah, if there's one thing you're going to believe in with this OU group and with Brent Venables, it's this group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what I really hope for with this group moving into the season is just Danny Okoye is not like this hype guy from the offseason who has all the tools and everything, and he goes out there and he does a couple things, and that's all we see from him. I want one more guy to pop off that we weren't really expecting. Whether that be a Taylor Wine, that maybe be that guy from everything we hear about, or we truly get the hype in terms of a guy like Danny Okoye or David Stone becomes a wrecker where it's like, no doubt this guy's one of the better interior defensive linemen in the game. And you put him right next to his buddy, Jaden Jackson, and they are one of the most stellar junior draft eligible defensive linemen going into next season. I think S, not even a conversation. I don't even think we need to go into it further. This group is going to be a lot of fun.
I will say Taylor Wine's that name that you really want to listen to, or like in preseason, because he's gonna pop up. Why'd you put the S's up there?
Sorry, I was thinking about the S. Sorry,
no, it's okay.
I'm very tired.
It's all good. It's totally fine. But no, Taylor Wine, that's the name that you've heard Jim Nagy talk about, and that Night with Nagy and OKC that Gabe and Teddy have mentioned. I was at that one, and his name just keeps popping up over and over in camp. So do not be surprised when you see this Taylor Wine guy show up and make some big plays on defense.
Yeah, 44.
Yep. Let's just move backwards.
You agree with the S?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, look, if we're gonna throw other groups in the S, like at this point, how are we not gonna S?
The defensive line is S.
Yeah,
we're not even talking about it.
Yeah,
running backs and QB can be an A if D line is an S.
What I was gonna say is, I think if we were to rank then within the tiers, I think D line is firmly the strongest group on this team.
So in a way, maybe we just
Why is it no? QB should be in a C, but we'll move on.
Okay, no. Let's move on to the linebacker core. Just keep scooting back. So this is, again, as Jameson mentioned, linebackers and the cheetah position. Danny Stutzman, the anchor of that, no longer obviously on the unit. So it's a bit of a change there, but I think, as we've talked, Jameson, still a lot to be excited about, a lot of optimism in the linebacking core.
Yeah, I think Kip Lewis can be a really damn good, one of the better linebackers in the SEC if he continues his upward trajectory as a player. The guy's a playmaker. He gets in the passing lanes, obviously gets Kip sixes, but at the same time, he's a tackling machine. He's got good quickness. I think he's a hell of a will, one of the better wills in the SEC. And then one of our leaders, if not the biggest leader of our defense, in Kobe McKenzie at the mic. That's a guy that I think he exemplifies what we want, and work ethic and production and not making any mistakes as a middle linebacker. And really, when it comes down to how many middle linebackers have we had in our time here at OU that go down the wrong gap, completely bust plays and piss us off, no matter how talented they are. Remember Kenneth Murray? Well, I remember that. That dude didn't know A gap from B gap.
Okay. This is Chargers fan.
It's Chargers beef. Yeah. Yeah, no, the Kenneth Murray thing was one of the first things we ever talked about.
Yeah. The dude was fun, but man, my God, he just would plug the wrong gap and we get big plays on us all the time. But Danny Stutzman did it. Danny cleaned it up like later in his career, but early he did it. And I think Kobe is a guy that you're just not going to see that much of. That dude just understands this defense so well, being in it now in his fourth year, third year of eligibility through it as a redshirt junior. Like, this guy just understands this defense. He'll be so good. But then you have something fun like behind, like Sammy Omasigo is a guy that, played a little bit of cheetah, but in the interior linebacking room is a guy that's making flashes in practice that you will see his number. I guess 7 now. I think he's number 7 now. I think he changed it from 24. And you will go out there and you'll see him. You'll see him making plays. But other than that, you start to talk about Owen Heineke and a guy that's like solid. But those top 3 guys are like your guys at the inside linebacker group.
Yeah, it's a very high end, legitimately, very, very, very good unit. Gets a little dodgy after that, like stuff we just kind of need to see. But to me, I'm pretty optimistic about this group. I really like the way it's kind of transitioned out of the Stutzman era. And, I think Kip Lewis, like you said, hell of a player, hell of a leader. Same with Kobe Kinsey. Like, it's a good unit with a lot to be excited about. And then kind of talking about some of the sort of cheetah aspects of it. You just got to love the addition of Kendall Daniels. That guy's was just absolutely huge at Oklahoma State. From what I believe will be playing cheetah, all that, and just feels like a perfect prototypical Brent Venables cheetah in a way.
Dude, that's gonna be so fun to see that. And like, even if it like he has some growing pains with it, you just throw back Reggie Powers into there, and that's a dude that just people have been talking a lot. Like, he could still play that cheetah position if he needed to. Like, we have so much variation that we could throw into the cheetah position. It would be a really fun position to watch.
Yeah, for sure. But Daniels has that like unique blend of size, speed, all of that. I'm excited. He was great at OSU. But, Ty, any thoughts on the linebackers?
No, I mean, like I've said a couple times on earlier pods, it will be interesting to see what Venables does when he cannot rely on Alex Grinch recruits like Danny Stutzman. So we'll see if he can actually recruit defenders that can produce, or if he is, relying on Grinch. But yeah, it's certainly not the D lines. But again, when you look at Venables' defenses, he has never produced, even at Oklahoma, and bits aside about Danny Stutzman. He's never produced anything. I'm trying to rack my brain here, below like a B tier of linebacker play. And obviously he's had the benefit of playing or coaching at OU and Kansas State when they were fairly decent. I guess I'm not factoring them in. And then Clemson when they were really, really solid. But yeah, I don't think you're going to see anything. You're going to see disappointing plays. That's the nature of college football. But you're not going to see anything disappointing from a Brent Venables linebacker room, especially at Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think that this group, all in all, I think the top end talent that you get from Mike and Will starters are an A, but I do worry that if we get a Kobe McKenzie injury or we get, honestly, just any injury from the top 3 guys, I would start to worry about them because I like having linebacker depth. You didn't see too much rotation last year in terms of Stutzman himself, but other than that, I feel like we did run a lot of our different linebackers out there. So I still think the talent gives me enough to say an A just because of how much I believe in Kip Lewis, but I still do worry that they could have a steep fall if injuries do bite them.
Yeah, the star end of things makes this an A for sure. Depth is a little bit concerning, but again, those are a lot of unknown quantities. Who knows what they've been doing in the back, practice all that, who would step up, but it's an A.
Ty, A?
Yeah, I like A. Yeah, it's not S. Yeah. It's not with the D line, but it's...
Yeah. And honestly, I see a B here too. If you really want to say like, hey, you guys say a guy that has 3 good guys that you believe in, with Sammy, with Kobe, and then with Kip. But at the same time, those are 3 guys I feel very, very confident in, like really good guys.
They're very, very good. So yeah.
That's B+ to A. So I'll take an A on that one.
Yeah, that's an A minus B+ to me, but you give a trend to the A. You round up in this situation. We're generous graders.
Yeah, I think it's an A.
For sure. Let's move on to our next position group, the cornerbacks. Jameson, I think of the defense, this might be the most question marks here.
This is the one I'm nervous about, Bobby. I understand there's a lot of solidarity in the way that the people feel in the camp about the cornerback position, but I just look at reading the tea leaves and just vibes I have about it. This is the one I get concerned about. And it could still be good. In terms of the cornerback depth chart right now, you would assume that if in a perfect world and no injuries were there, Eli Bowen would be CB1. The reality of it is he has an injury, some sort of ankle injury, and we're not getting a lot of news of when he's going to be back. But the vibes are he might not be back for the first game at least. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's out even a little bit longer. There's not a lot coming out about this from whether that be insider boards, podcasts, all that kind of thing. And whenever I don't have a definitive diagnosis and they're not giving me hard cut evidence here, I don't know what's going on and I don't like the verbiage. So Eli Bowen, a guy that probably, if you look at talent in our cornerback room, is the most talented. I don't know if we're going to have him for a significant portion of that beginning of the season, which is a huge bummer. So we'll see how quickly he can get back from that and his ankle injury. But moving forward with other guys in the cornerback room that can step in, Gentry Williams healthy right now. I don't know how much longer he's going to be healthy, but whenever he's healthy and he's performing, that guy is a guy who's going to be a big-time contributor for us. Like every other person who talks about Gentry Williams, it's only a matter of time before shoulder gives out on him. Again, good for him for continuing to play like he doesnn't have a shoulder problem. And he goes out there and plays and gives everything he got. I think that's a guy that we always thought could be the future of our cornerback position. Other guys that I would hate to not mention, Devon Jordan's a guy that you hear Venables and talk about time after time after time. And he seems to be a guy that you could see him be CB1, CB2, come out game one, and you'd be like, oh, who's that? That's the guy that's like, your grandpa or your dad's going to ask, like, who's that over there? I've never heard of that guy. Who's Jordan? Devon Jordan could be that guy this season. I think they could go out there, be a solid guy from how many positive things we've seen from this season. Jacoby Johnson, if you're talking about large outsides cornerback, because a lot of these guys I'm naming are 5'9" to 5'11", 6 foot range. Jacoby Johnson is in that, whenever he's not being a wide receiver, he's a cornerback. Hopefully he just stays there now, but he could still be fun. And then other guys like Jeremiah Newcomb. And then if we don't talk about Cortland Guillory right here, that would be silly. Just because if you talk about hype in the freshman room, in fall camp, we talk about the offensive lineman, we talk about Elijah Thomas, but then Cortland Guillory is probably maybe number 2 or number 3 in terms of hype behind the offensive lineman.
Yeah, Guillory, I think we'll definitely see a lot of burn of. I thought it was very interesting the way Teddy brought it up on Oklahoma Breakdown today, where he said it's a lot of depth, but not, you don't have that high end level. It's like almost like a reverse of the linebacker core, where you don't have a ton of depth, but you have that high end talent. I think on this end, it's like a lot of, from what he said, and what I understand about the unit, it's a lot of really, really good talent, but no standout stars.
But maybe like the offensive lines vibe.
Yeah. Kind of like that. Which depth is good. Would love to see someone step up, but that all comes out in the wash over the course of the season. And hey, maybe Guillory can be that guy. We've seen freshmen really grow and advance over a full season.
Become really good their freshman season and then go down as their career.
I didn't want to talk about that part, but we've definitely seen a good amount of those. Golly, who was that cornerback we had in 2017 that was just like stunning, and then he just kind of never really kicked it into that star.
I remember Jaden Davis off the top of my head is like the guy. Was it Jordan Thomas? No, that was
Woody Washington.
Woody Washington had a tough freshman year because he got thrown into the LSU playoff game and got worked. Poor guy.
Yeah, that was bad. That was bad. I remember that.
I don't know who you're referencing. I have to do some homework on that. I'm telling you, my long-term memory of OU history is bad. Sometimes when the season turns, I just turn a page. I'm so bad about trivia.
Which is fair. A trauma response at this point.
Honestly, it's not.
Parnell Motley.
Oh yeah, Parnell Motley. Oh my God, I've not thought about Parnell Motley in years. My God.
Yeah. I don't know if I was right on that. Yeah, but Parnell Motley. That's who I was thinking of at
I
that
love
moment.
Parnell Motley, but I don't know if he
What's he up
declined
to?
too much.
Let me go to LinkedIn.
He went to Denver for
he up
the
to
pros, right?
He had a good run. He had a good run. What am I talking about?
Yeah, I think he was pretty consistent. He wasn't like the drop off like Jaden was. But there was another guy that did something similar to what Jaden did, and I know exactly. But like moving on, like talking about vibes of this team, I think that if you feel confident in their depth, cool. I think that even like if you compare them to the offensive line in terms of like they have depth, they have a lot of guys that can go out there and make a play. I still think the offensive line has more ceiling than them. I worry about ceiling all in all. I think if Gentry Williams could be that guy that we thought he could be 2 years ago and last year as well amidst health, you'd feel good. But at the same time, I don't know if I believe in that health. Same thing with Eli Bowen. I don't know what's going on here. I would love to be way, way more confident about this room if Eli Bowen is returning, and that's a guy's our up-and-comer young guy who's going to be the cornerstone of this cornerback room, the way that he played a fundamentally sound game as an undersized cornerback. But I don't know what his injury is right now to the point of when is he going to come back? And I don't like that coming in whenever it's really big to get momentum early in non-con before you hit SEC play. And then you're relying on guys that we haven't seen a lot of tape of. And that's like Devon Jordan and then Jacoby Johnson we've seen a little bit of tape of. I worry about Jeremiah Newcomb, Cortland Guillory, Devon Jordan getting too much on their shoulders and having some breaks in their coverage whenever you play really damn good quarterback wide receiver combos. Like taking like whenever was it first? Is first SEC? I know this is something I need to know. First SEC is Auburn.
Yeah.
That wide receiver room is one of the best in the SEC, if not the best. And that's like a very, very bold take comparing to the other Alabama team. I understand Ryan Williams an absolute dog, but like they're absolutely really good. They're probably at least top 3 in the SEC. That was probably too bold, but like that's going to be a really, really hard performance. Like first SEC play.
Well, and remember how crucial Eli Bowen was to shutting down Ryan Williams. He did not have a very big game against Oklahoma at all, and a lot of that was Eli Bowen. So hopefully, I mean, you never know with reports, but hopefully, never know. Like Drake once said, sprained ankle is nothing to play with.
Yeah. So Jimmy in the comments saying he has a high ankle. Yeah, I'm aware that there's a high ankle sprain in terms of the diagnoses that come with a high ankle sprain. That's where I kind of get into the nitty gritty here. If I don't know when his return to play is. High ankle sprains, average return to play is around. You can immediately come back and just be tough it through like a Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, or you could come back, take 3 weeks off for traditional high ankle sprains. I'm not really getting that vibe that this is just a 3-week injury, just from reading tea leaves here. So I don't know what's associated with this high ankle sprain. What exactly is the story here? Why is it taking so long? It doesn't seem like he's got a procedure. You can get a surgery for a high ankle sprain. We would have heard that by now if he would have gotten the tightrope procedure. So I'm not quite sure exactly what's going on here. Not to get into the nitty gritty of the medical here, but that's what I do. I just do not know what's going on with his timeline right now. And I just don't have enough just because of the non-transparency in terms of injuries and what they can report in college.
Yeah. I mean, in college one time, I'm pretty sure Jason White tore his ACL. Stoops didn't tell anyone about it for 2 weeks. It was like, hey, he might come back. What are we doing? I would also like to apologize to Parnell Motley.
The dude was a baller consistently.
I just looked up his stats. Dude was incredible all the way through. That was a very ball not that whatever my memory of Parnell Motley was clearly wrong. I apologize, Parnell. You were a boss. I was very, very dumb for saying.
What year did you say it was? While y'all talk about this,
I said 17, but he was good in 17. Okay. He was solid in 18, and he was first team all Big 12 in 19. So, woof. That was a bad take. Hand up. Sorry about that, Parnell Motley. But that's what happens when you go live.
Here's what I'm thinking about this cornerbacks room is to kind of tie it back to one of the very first things we said was, is there preseason superstar hype? No. Is there preseason like, oh, this is going to be A tier, this is going to be one of the top power, whatever, or power 4, whatever term they're using this season? Probably not, but is this going to be pretty reliably consistent production from everyone? And is that going to be all pretty similar? Yes, which to me, right, is kind of a decision between, are we going to be okay with them or are we going to be constantly mad at them? And for me, I don't think this is a room that we're going to be constantly upset at. And I think we're going to be very reliable, sort of middle of the road. So kind of alluding to where I'm going to put them, but I think that's, sort of my take on the cornerback room.
Yeah. Let's get into our tier rankings here. Where are we putting them? James?
I'll go ahead and say B, because for me, between, like I was saying, B and C for me is this going to be constant, average, middle of the road production? And then from there, my line between B and C is, am I going to spend most weekends upset at them, or am I going to spend most weekends not thinking about them? And I don't think the cornerback room is a room that I'm going to be thinking about at the end of the game every single week, which for me is B. That's the definition of, they kind of did their job. They weren't amazing. I'm not, talking about their highlights, and I'm also not complaining about they're just not producing every week.
I think B is fair. I think it's a low B for me. I worry about it, but I think that in terms of being a solid group, I don't hear any like worry vibes coming out of the offseason about the cornerback room. I think it's we don't know exactly what it is, but guys who come in there, they go out in there and they make plays. So I think C provides some worry that I don't have for this cornerback room.
Yeah, C feels harsh. It feels like a B. It's solid, a solid unit, but not panic. Like I could see it shifting to a C, but
yeah,
especially if Bowen's out for a long time and things just don't gel, nobody really steps up and nothing clicks. But it feels a little harsh at this exact moment to put him at a C. So
I completely agree. Cornerback room is the weakest part of this defense. And in terms of, if you look at this OU defense and you say, why aren't they one of the best defenses in the SEC? I think you would point the finger of, it's the cornerback room. That's the reason. Because having a shutdown corner completely changes the way that you can play defense. And if the cornerbacks are not allowing the defensive line to get enough time to get to the quarterback, you have a problem.
Yep, absolutely. Moving on to our final position group, the safeties.
Yeah, safeties, I think, is a fun one here to talk about. Really, hopefully this is the season that Peyton Bowen breaks out. He's been showing out in camp recently, getting interceptions. I think this is a guy that, in terms of, we were elated when we got him as our recruit, and now it's his time to shine in that position with Billy Bowman gone. Robert Spears-Jennings, dude, I love him. I've always loved him. This guy is so good. I really, really like RSJ, and I don't think I'm like an overhyper in who he is, but I just think he's always there making the right plays, making big hits, making the tackle. Whenever I see him and number 3 coming up into the box, I feel good every single time. Then you got some fun pieces with some depth. If Reggie Powers can move over into safety position, he's been playing really well into the camp. Other guys like Boganowski, a guy that we always love, can come downhill, make a big hit. Jaden Hardy also in that area, the guy who played pretty decently last season as a true freshman, who burned his red shirt because of it. I think that all in all, the safety group is fun. I really like RSJ more than the average Bear. And I think that Peyton Bowen has the skill level and the potential to make a big jump.
I agree. It's a good unit. I think Robert Spears-Jennings is, like you said, just a beast. A Bowen leap would be very, very much appreciated at this point in time. He hasn't been bad, but I feel like the way Billy Bowman kind of sucks up a lot of that oxygen back there, it can be a little tricky. So I think it's his time to shine for sure, and that would just be incredible. And you really hope everything clicks there. It's a really good unit. I have them. We're not doing Tiermaker yet, but I have them pretty high. But overall, just really, really solid group. Great depth, great star power. A lot to like.
Yeah, I'm going to recycle. I think I use this for the wide receivers, but again, those pressure cycles from last season and going through, obviously the defense was not as hard to watch as the offense, I guess, but those pressure cycles, and again, the fact that you can go down the depth chart and even casual OU fans are going to recognize the names is always a good barometer for me. And I think returning guys who have a chance to develop, who hopefully this season are going to have an offense that is going to give the defense some relief, at least more than last year. And then again, if we truly believe in these linebackers and in this D line and everything else, that turns the safeties away from where they are safety. They're the last line of defense because everything is broken down and everyone's worn out and the defense has been on the field for 40 minutes of the game, to a team that can really, or a position group that can really show out and can really show their star power and develop. And that's what I'm looking for. Again, obviously, if you've watched this far into the pod, I'm picking on ceilings here for a lot of these guys, but I think the safeties.
What a homer! What a homer! Where my tie gone?
where my tie gone?
Let me make it very clear.
He said quarterbacks at C for a moment, so he came out a little bit.
I have no qualms with any of the players. So
I think when it comes to ranking down the safety group, it's whenever I look at ranking, I provide a little bit of ceiling, a little bit of depth, and a little bit of bias. My bias is I love RSJ. That guy, I feel so confident in him. And I think that in terms of solidarity and reliability, that's him. And then ceiling, I think Peyton Bowen has a ceiling in terms of what he was as a recruit, what he does as an athlete, and what he can be as a safety for this team in terms of a playmaker and interceptor. I think that's a guy that he will not be a Billy Bowman from last year, but I think that he can try to go out and do his best impression. And I feel really good in Peyton Bowen. And obviously with the depth, whether that be Reggie Powers, is a guy that obviously a lot of people like in that room, versus Boganowski is a fun guy. I think all in all, just based off the top two, and then the depth that we have and the young guys and Reggie Powers and whatnot, I think that they're an A in my opinion. Similar to the linebacking room vibes. Honestly, very, very similar to the linebacking room vibes, if almost equivalent. Yeah.
No, I mean, I agree. Very solid A here. It's the most A. Yeah. It's perfect. It's a perfect A. So safeties, I think that's the move. Like you said, that perfect combination of depth and star power, it's pretty great. So
did you have something else, Ty?
No, I concur. They're probably the most realistic A. Like
yeah,
we talked
I
about,
agree.
This is one of the safest bets on this.
Yeah, rank. I agree. I'd say definitely safest A. Obviously, if somebody gets hurt, I start to get nervous. It's just because the depth is fun, but is the depth going to be good enough for SEC play if you don't have your stars like RSJ, Peyton Bowen? But that goes for every position group. If you lose your top one or two, obviously you're going to be in panic mode. So I still feel good about this position group, and I think they're going to grow a lot throughout the season.
Yep, without a doubt. And so there we go. We have fully.
Dude, we are so homers. Look at this list. This is a team that over under was 6.5 whenever it opened, and here we are.
This is a direct counterpoint to Wednesday's weekend spread, where two people had OU ranked 10th.
So it's not the player's fault. I'm building a case here. I'm building a case, and I'm making sure that every piece of evidence points to one criminal who
NIL.
Yeah, it's not NIL. It's not the portal. I'll tell you guys that.
It's Jim Nagy. It's Jim Nagy's fault.
The money's getting to the kids' brains.
Oh God. The
poor
#1 OU villain, money.
Anyone in C.
I know. We probably should have.
Somebody tried to put someone in C, and I got booed and called a doomer, and everyone in the chat got mad at me. But I tried. Yeah. So here's our full
which is
list.
Hilarious that we have everyone S, A, or B, and then the poor tight ends are just in the D.
Quarterback in S is still, all bits aside, it's like single point of failure in S tier is crazy. Even
what?
I think the running backs in the S tier was a big failure, but that's my opinion. Let's just go over for everyone.
We can make final adjustments if we want. We can move the running backs to the A.
This is it, Bobby. I want you to stop talking right now. This is it.
Yeah, that's true. We've been podcasting for an hour and 30 minutes. So
yeah,
let's run it. In we're going to go lowest to highest. In D tier by itself, the tight ends. No unit in C tier. The B tier units are the wide receivers, the offensive line, and the cornerbacks. In A tier, you have the linebackers and the safeties. And in S tier, you have the defensive line, quarterback room, and the running backs. Let us know. Let us know in the comments who you disagree with, who's ranked too high, who's too low. Any of that stuff, would very much appreciate it. This was fun, guys. It's good getting back in the rhythm again.
Yeah, we're back to these long pods. Like Ashley was like, "How long is the podcast going to be tonight?" I'm like, "It's going to be a long one." Buckled up. We're back to get ready for Wednesday, hour and a half long arguments on the weekend spread that's coming up this week for week 0, and get ready for fun, recaps of every single week of OU. We'll be previewing OU's game versus Illinois State next week on Sunday. And if you want consistent Sunday and Wednesday pods for OU content, we're your pod. From a fan perspective, we're not some former players, but we like to have fun here. So give us a subscribe, like it, and we'll be giving you content all year.
Yeah. For the record, the former player pod is very good. It's very good.
It's just a different, we just bring something different. Yeah, we want to be your buddy, that we're sitting on the couch with you, just having a good time talking OU football. That's the vibes we want to bring.
Exactly. That's kind of the vibes. Yeah. Lord King Big Nuts, you don't need to give any more donos, man. I mean, you can if you want, but
we love you, Lord King.
We love you, man. You're good. You paid up for the season, my friend. You've been doing. We appreciate you, man. Yeah, no, very excited to go back to twice a week and really dive into football season, and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be really fun, and looking forward to it. So, yep, that is another episode of the Scooter Pod. We'll be back on Wednesday to pick week 0. Don't you tell me? And he sent us, Lord King Big Nuts. You didn't have to. You didn't have to.
Lord King Big Nuts, you're so rich. We love you.
I appreciate it. We at this rate, we just need to we need to have a sponsorship line for him at this point.
I will say before we go, if you can donate, please donate. We are trying to fund attorneys who will pay for researching what happens with Pole Assassin and Gia the Monkey. We have not had an update since 2021 on that story. We need to know what Texas assistant coach Jeff Banks and his monkey that potentially, we're not going to say what happened, potentially stood its grounds in accordance with Texas law, or potentially assaulted a child. One of those happened, and we need an update.
Halloween I was ready to
will not be forgotten.
You reeled me right back in, Ty. Yeah. Let's talk about the monkey.
We're funding a team of attorneys to figure out what happened. It was settled out of court in secrecy, and we will track this down.
We should do a docuseries on it. Just scrap the podcast. If OU went the second OU hits 4 losses, we just stop talking about OU and dive into like a serial style documentary podcast.
Netflix would pick up anything. We can do it.
They do. That is company policy. All right. Thank you all so much. We'll see you next time. Boomer Sooner, everybody.